Let's talk and let's be honest with ourselves. UX research in 2026 is not the same as UX research a few years ago. AI is everywhere, teams are moving faster, and all of a sudden you are expected to be a researcher and a strategist and a storyteller, and sometimes a bit of everything in between. And so if you're early in your UX research career, or you've been doing this for a little while and still trying to figure things out, then you're probably asking yourself, what skills do I actually need to grow? Not necessarily the trendy ones or the overwhelming ones, just the real ones that help you feel confident and build a strong career. And that's exactly what we are unpacking in this video. 5 skills you actually need for UX research in 2026, and now you can start to build them right now. Okay, let's start with the foundation because everything else builds on this. First, you need a strong research foundation, which means learn the why behind the how. When I started my UX research journey, I genuinely thought that being a great researcher meant memorizing all the methods there is. Interviews, surveys, CAT sort, diary studies. The list was endless. But here's the truth that took me a while to understand. Being a strong researcher isn't about collecting methods. It's about understanding the thinking behind them. It's knowing why you are choosing a method, what question the method answers, and when not to use it. One example, very early in my career, I used a survey to address or answer a question that really needed depth and emotion. And naturally, the responses came back vague. Not because users didn't care, but because I chose the wrong method. That moment taught me a lesson. And I'll tell you that good research starts with great question, not necessarily fancy methods. So if you are starting out, I would say learn the basics. Learn the core methods, interviews, surveys, usability study, diary studies, and then learn how they fit into real product decisions. So you don't have to memorize every method. What matters is understanding when to use each one and why. How to practice this if you are just starting out, I'll give you a tip. Pick an app you use every day. Instagram, Uber, TikTok, YouTube, anything at all. Pick an app you use every day and ask yourself one question. What user problem would I possibly want to investigate on this app? And then when you do that, write 3 research questions about the problem. And then choose a method you would use to answer those questions. So whether it's user interviews, whether it's usability testing, whether it's survey, just choose a method you think would be right to answer those questions. And then write a sentence explaining why you think that method fits. Then go online to watch a recorded, moderated research session. Anything where you're able to see the researcher in action. Whether it's usability testing, whether it's user interviews, whether it's concept testing, depending on what you chose as your method. Pay attention to how they ask questions. Pay attention to how they stay neutral. Pay attention to how they guide the conversation. All these are very important. For example, let's say the app you chose is Uber. A sample user problem I might want to investigate is why do users struggle to find the exact pickup point on the app? And when you break that down into research questions, a typical research questions you might ask or you might write down for that is, how do users decide where to stand when waiting for their ride? That's a research question. Another question I might write for that is, what information do users look out for when trying to locate the pickup point? So these are examples of user problems and corresponding research questions I might put down for the user problem. This little exercise build real steady research foundation. So yes, before you chase new tools, before you chase new AI tricks, get your foundation on a lockdown. This is your foundation. Understand the why behind the how first. This is very important. So yes, that's skill number 1, a strong research foundation. Very important, even in 2026. Now let's talk skill number 2, data and AI literacy. This one is a game changer. In 2026, every researcher needs to understand data and how to work with AI instead of fearing it. Let's talk about data, because this is where a lot of early researchers feel intimidated. But here's the good news. You don't have to run regression. You don't need to build dashboard. You don't need to become an analytics wizard. You don't need to necessarily code, but you need to be able to look at simple metrics like retention or click-through and say things like, that's a pattern worth exploring. You need the ability to understand what data is telling you. For you, data literacy might look like this. Simply understanding simple metrics like retention or drop-off, reading a simple chart, spotting a trend, asking questions like, why might this be happening? And being curious about the numbers, not afraid of them. Because in 2026, great researchers know how to notice patterns, interpret metrics, combine qualitative stories with quantitative insights, use AI to speed up analysis, and also question AI responsibly. And again, if you have little to no research experience, I'll give you a tip on how to practice this now. Take one simple metrics you already have access to now. Say for instance, your Instagram or your YouTube analytics, views, engagement, click-through, anything like that. Then ask yourself, why might this be going up and down? Why is this up? Why is this down at this point? What could be influencing it? Ask yourself those kind of questions. You're not trying to be perfect or anything like that. You're just trying to practice noticing patterns, how to notice and how to understand patterns. This kind of practice will build your data awareness faster than you think. And in 2026, that awareness is a superpower. You don't necessarily have to be a data analyst, just be data aware. Note that AI is your assistant, not your replacement. Use it for transcripts, use it for summaries, use it to find themes, but always check its work. Now picking an example from my experience. I tried to use an AI tool to summarize transcript from a user interview, and the summary, it was neat, it was concise, it was polished. But some things were missing. It missed out the emotions, the hesitations, the human moments that really mattered. And that's when I realized that AI can help you go faster, but it can't replace your judgment. A quick exercise I will give you here is take an old study, run it through an AI summary tool, and read the output. And when you get the output, ask yourself, does this really capture what I learned in the study? And if it doesn't, congratulations, you just learned how to critically think about AI. Let's talk skill number 3, storytelling and influence. Now this is truly the difference between a good researcher and an impactful one. Because here's the reality, you can run a brilliant study, you can gather amazing insights, but if your team doesn't understand what the insights mean, no one understands your finding or cares enough to act on them, then it's like you never did the research at all. Then nothing changes. And that's very painful because you did all the work. Storytelling here isn't about making things dramatic, it's about making things clear. It's helping your team care about what your users experience. A beginner moment I'll never forget for me was I once created this large deck. I had charts, I had user codes, I had diagrams, I had everything in this big deck that I'd created. In my mind, I thought I was being thorough. But halfway through the presentation, I noticed that I was losing people. They weren't exactly following what I was saying. Not because the insights were bad, but because the stories were buried. But now I start simple: what we learned, why it matters, and what decision it impacts. If you ask me what storytelling looks like in practice, simple slides, clear visuals, powerful user codes. Note that I said powerful user codes, so don't just move all user codes into your deck. Powerful user codes, before and after examples, clean and clear recommendations. So again, let's go by simple slides, clear visuals, powerful user codes, before and after examples, clean recommendations, less clutter, more clarity. Again, if you're early on in your career, here's a tip on how to practice this. Take one past project or create a fictional one and challenge yourself to summarize it in 3 slides. Slide 1, what we learned. Slide 2, why it matters. Slide 3, what should happen next. This simple exercise will help you improve your communication almost instantly. If someone outside of UX understands it, you have nailed it. Because in the end, your insights are only as good as the story you tell. Let's talk skill number 4, Collaboration. UX research is not a solo sport, at least not anymore. You work with designers, you work with PMs, you work with engineers, data analysts, sales, sometimes even legal. But here's what a lot of early researchers misunderstand. Collaboration is not just about working together. It's learning how to understand how your teammates think. For instance, designers want clarity, engineers want specifics, PMs need priorities, executives need impact. For example, one of the early wins that I had in my career was inviting a few designers to some user sessions to observe the sessions with me. So what I do is I invite them as note takers on the session. They saw the users' frustrations live, they saw the excitement, again, live. And suddenly, I didn't need to convince anyone. The research spoke for itself. Even to them, it was a very good experience. How to practice this as an early career: invite a teammate to observe a session with you. So they watch real users interact with the product. What it does is it helps them build natural empathy and it helps them understand the research better. You wouldn't need to convince anyone after that. Another thing you could do is ask a PM what success means to them before the study. This way you get clarity even before you start the study, or it makes your research impactful. And another thing you could do is join design critiquing sessions. This way you see how design decisions are made and you understand where research can help early enough. Ask engineers what confuses them. Engineers have data, you have context. So bringing all that together makes your team work smarter. Overall, share insights in a way that fits their world, not just yours. Remember that they need to understand those insights to be able to act on them. This skill multiplies your impact more than any research method ever will. So next study you run, invite someone from another team to observe. Watch how their perspective changes when they see users in action. And that's how you build empathy in your company, amongst different teams, not just with users. Collaboration is how research actually drives change. So learn their languages, roadmap, sprint, metrics. When you understand how your team thinks, then you can frame your insights in a way that sticks, in a way that they understand, so that they are able to act on it. Now let's talk the skill that ties everything together: career agility. Because the reality is tools will change, teams will reorganize, AI will keep evolving, and the expectations on researchers will shift. The researchers who thrive are the ones who stay curious, the ones who stay open, the ones who stay flexible, and the ones who keep learning. What career agility looks like for us every day will be trying a new tool, asking more questions, learning from a mistake, reflecting on your craft, reading a new article, shadowing a teammate, trying out one new thing every quarter. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to keep moving. My advice would be every few months, ask yourself, what new thing have I tried this quarter? If you can answer that, then you're growing. Because the only thing constant in UX is change. New tools, new titles, new buzzwords every year. And you stay relevant by staying curious. So keep learning. AI ethics, AI itself, accessibility, facilitation, anything that catches your interest. You could share what you learn, teach someone else. That's how you turn knowledge into credibility. So that's your UX Research Roadmap 2026. The skills that you actually need: strong research foundation, data and AI literacy, storytelling, collaboration, and career agility. Now, before you go, so if this gave you some clarity, or if you like this in any way, please take a second to subscribe to this channel. I share videos like these on UX research, tech, and career growth, and your support genuinely helps me to create more videos like this. Also, hit the like button so that other researchers like you can find this video. Thank you. Now tell me, which of these 5 skills are you currently working on, or do you plan to work on soon? Drop in the comments. I would love to cheer you on. And if you're seeing my face for the first time, my name is Tobi Lasisi, and I'm a senior user experience researcher. I currently work in quantum computing. Please do stay around, subscribe. I would love to connect with you. Let's get the year started on a very high note. I'm rooting for you. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.